David Torres sat in his cluttered repair shop on Kepler 9 station, staring at the device clutched in a small alien child's trembling hands. The Vek'thari girl, no more than 6 in human years, looked at him with wide, terrified eyes. Her chest-mounted regulator pulsed angry red, radiating heat David could feel from 3 feet away. She'd stumbled into his shop moments ago, her basic translator producing fragmented words. Help ... hurts ... broken. David's diagnostic scanner confirmed his worst fear. This wasn't a toy. It was a life support system keeping her alive, and it was failing catastrophically. He had minutes, maybe less. Kepler 9 was a remote trading station on the galactic frontier where dozens of species coexisted in uneasy commerce. Humans occupied modest positions: mechanics, laborers, service workers. The Vek'thari were different. Technologically superior, deeply isolationist, they barely acknowledged other species beyond necessary transactions. Their ships docked, conducted business, and departed without interaction. David had seen Vek'thari before but never spoken to one. Now a Vek'thari child sat on his workbench, dying from equipment failure he didn't understand. David was a skilled engineer, self-taught, obsessive about details. 20 years ago, his younger sister died on a colony world when their habitat's air recycler malfunctioned. David was 12, too young to fix it, too helpless to save her. He'd watched her suffocate while alarms screamed and adults panicked. That memory carved itself into his soul, drove him to learn every system, master every tool, become the person who could fix anything. The child before him, Kes, her translator managed to convey, had wandered from her family's docked ship while they conducted repairs. The station's communication grid was offline for maintenance. He couldn't contact her family, couldn't call for help. He was alone with dying alien technology he'd never encountered, and a child who would suffocate in standard station atmosphere without her regulator functioning. Attempt a blind repair that might kill her, or do nothing and guarantee her death. The choice wasn't really a choice at all. David's hands moved with desperate precision, opening the device's casing with improvised tools. The bioregulator maintained atmospheric pressure and chemical balance specific to Vek'thari physiology. Without it, Kes would suffocate even breathing station air. The malfunction stemmed from a damaged power coupling causing thermal runaway, melting components, destabilizing the entire system. He needed to bypass the damaged section and reroute power without interrupting life support for more than seconds. Kes's breathing was labored, rasping. Her blue skin faded to ash gray. David didn't need xenobiology training to recognize that as bad. She clutched a small holographic device showing Vek'thari faces, clearly family. Tears tracked down her face, but she tried to be brave, staying still while David worked. His sister's face flashed through memory, same fear, same desperate trust that adults would fix everything. He'd been helpless then. Not now, not ever again. The device's security locks resisted, precious seconds evaporating while he cracked alien encryption. Inside, the architecture was elegant but completely unfamiliar. David improvised frantically, bridging circuits with conductive wire, replacing the destroyed coupling with a human standard power cell that barely physically fit. His modifications were crude, inelegant, but they might work. The device suddenly shut down completely, all lights dying. Kes gasped, her breathing stopping entirely. David had 5 seconds before brain damage, maybe 10 before death. His hands blurred, connecting the final circuit, bypassing safety protocols, forcing the restart manually. The device hummed. Lights flickered green. Kes drew a massive shuddering breath, then another. Color flooded back into her skin. She was alive. David collapsed into his chair, hands shaking from adrenaline crash, hardly believing he'd succeeded. Then he heard them heavy footsteps approaching from the corridor. multiple beings moving with military precision. His shop door opened. 4 Vek'thari warriors entered, each nearly 7 feet of armored intimidation. Their species was legendary for protecting their young and utterly unforgiving toward threats. The lead warrior's eyes found Kes immediately, then snapped to David, then fixed on the open device still connected to improvised human components. The warrior's hand moved toward a weapon on his hip. David's blood turned to ice as he understood how this appeared alien child in distress. Strange human with tools, critical device torn apart and modified with primitive parts. The language barrier prevented quick explanations. Kes was still recovering, too weak to speak. The lead warrior barked something, tone unmistakably threatening. David's translator caught fragments. "What did you do to our child?" David stood slowly, deliberately, hands visible and empty, showing he meant no harm. He pointed to the damaged component he'd removed, held it up to demonstrate the burn marks, tried through gesture to show he'd fixed it rather than broken it. The warrior either didn't understand or didn't care. Another warrior moved to take Kes. David's protective instinct overrode survival sense. The device was still fragile, still running on his jury-rigged power supply. Rough movement could disconnect everything, kill her instantly. He stepped between the approaching warrior and Kes, knowing it was potentially suicidal, but physically incapable of standing aside. The lead warrior perceived this as aggression, as challenge. Weapons cleared holsters, aimed at David's chest. He didn't retreat. Couldn't retreat? Instead, something primal activated. David bared his teeth and released a sharp, forceful hiss-pure threat display, the same sound ancient humans used against predators. It wasn't rational thought. It was instinct older than civilization. The Vek'thari froze, utterly confused by prey species acting like predator, by something small and weak displaying aggression toward armed warriors. In that suspended moment, Kes spoke weakly in her own language. Words David couldn't understand but recognized. She was explaining, defending him, telling them what actually happened. The lead warrior's posture shifted subtly. He lowered his weapon, examining the damaged component David still held, seeing the evidence of catastrophic malfunction, the burn patterns that told their own story. He looked back at David with new understanding replacing hostility. The tension shattered as comprehension dawned. The lead warrior commander Thelver, Kes's father, knelt to David's eye level, a gesture of equality shocking from a species that typically demonstrated superiority. Through Kes's recovering translator, he asked David to explain his repair. David walked him through every step, showing the damaged coupling, explaining the improvised bypass, demonstrating why each choice was necessary. Thelver examined the work with an engineer's trained eye and found it flawless. David had stabilized a complex bioregulator using primitive human components and zero training in Vek'thari technology. The other warriors relaxed completely, weapons holstered, postures shifting to respect. Thelver asked the crucial question: why help when David risked harming Kes with unfamiliar technology when he had nothing to gain? David's answer came without hesitation. She needed help. That's all that matters. Thelver was silent for a long moment, processing this. Vek'thari culture valued strength, self-sufficiency, technological superiority. They didn't expect other species to aid their vulnerable, especially not humans whom they viewed as inferior mechanics. David's actions contradicted everything they believed about humanity. Thelver produced proper Vek'thari components and replaced David's improvised repair, but he kept the human power cell David had used, examining it with genuine interest. He told David that the Vek'thari remembered debts, and this debt was beyond measure. Days later, the Vek'thari delegation returned with an official offer: engineering consultant for Vek'thari human technology integration. a position unprecedented for their isolationist species. More significantly, they shared previously restricted technical specifications that would help human engineers understand alien systems, potentially saving countless lives in future emergencies. David accepted not for prestige but because it meant fewer children would die from equipment failures nobody understood how to fix. Kes visited his shop regularly when her family ship docked, bringing small gifts, practicing human language with endearing determination. Thelver privately admitted the Vek'thari were reassessing their view of humanity. They'd valued technological sophistication, assumed humans were simple mechanics useful but unremarkable. David proved that ingenuity, compassion, and refusal to surrender could surpass advanced knowledge. One human with basic tools and desperate determination saved a life, Vek'thari. Technology couldn't protect from simple component failure. The story spread through both communities, humans gaining respect they'd never commanded, Vek'thari learning that strength takes many forms. David's memorial to his sister finally felt complete. He couldn't save her, but he'd saved others. Humanity's greatest tool wasn't technology, it was refusing to accept anything as unfixable.